Hey, what's up, guys? This is Andrew Smersek with Combat Armor Training. Today we're going to be talking about the Trijicon HD XR U-Notch night sights. I've been using these sights for close to 2 years now, and I like them. They're good, but I'm going to go away from them. There's a couple issues that I have with them that I'm just like, I just would rather not use them anymore. Not to say they're bad. If you have them, you're fine. Okay, I'm not saying get rid of them or whatever. For myself, I'm trying to find the best gear so I can put out YouTube reviews on it and be able to tell my students what to get and have it so they don't regret their purchase later, of course. Now, the simple thing on why I want to go away from them is it can take a little bit longer trying to see that you have proper sight alignment. A little bit confusing in your brain, and I'll explain that later. And also at night, trying to pick up on that front sight when you're working with a white light can be difficult. But we'll get into that in a minute. Now, with the U-Notch sights, instead of having regular rectangles in the back, right, like notch and post, a standard set of sights, you got a U-Notch, and it's supposed to have less right angles so that your eye can draw in at the front sight. But these have the thinner front sight because it's the HD XRs. Now, with the thinner front sight in that you end up having more space on each side of the front sight. And what I find is that because it feels exaggerated when you're looking through, even though it's not, it feels exaggerated. But with that bigger space on each side instead of just a thin space with a standard set, you end up overthinking it, and it's a little bit confusing, at least for me, in my brain, trying to see where exactly the correct alignment is. Like equal height, across the front sight and rear sight across the top, that's not a big deal, but the equal light part can be a little bit aggravating. Now, with that thinner front sight, also, out at distance, yeah, you can see your target better, which is nice. But, like I said, when it comes back to the increased light on both sides of the front sight between the front and rear, that to me makes it so that instead of trying to focus on the front sight, now I'm focusing more on the sides to get that correct alignment. Now, you can just try to ignore that, that's fine, but what I've been finding is I just shoot better with regular notch and post, and even with my big dots, even out to 100 yards, right? And at 100 yards, that's where it's like that front sight is going to look like this, and then the size of the target looks more like this, just a little bit bigger. Using 12 inches across, 18 inches down, steel silhouette targets. But even though it's like, yeah, I can see where I'm at on the target better, it doesn't make me better. So I've been more consistent, more accurate with standard notch and post, and with big dots, and especially red dots are cheating. Now, at night, the thing is that when I'm using the white light, with this set of sights, that front sight becomes really hard to see, okay, because it's thinner, right? So that target's super bright, right? And we're trying to see our sights on the target. Now we're basically looking at silhouette because the night sights are not working at that time with that certain set of lighting conditions, right? It's like they work when it's super dark. That's when the tritium lights up and you can align the tritium vials on the sights. But when you have a bright target, you don't see that tritium anymore. And then trying to see that thin front sight on that bright target, it just kind of gets washed out. That's what I see, at least. And yeah, my eyes suck, but that's what I'm going with. And comment below if you've seen the same thing. But that's my big issue with them. Now the tritium works great. I don't think there's a size difference in any of the tritium vials. I could be wrong, but the tritium that's on these sites that Trijicon makes is actually on a lot of different other brands' sites. And they're gonna last like a long time. Like, you might get bored of your sights before the tritium runs out and switch to something else. Now the luminescent paint, that paint on the front is awesome. Now during the daytime, you know, you've got your silhouette of your sights, like if you're using a threat focus, right, focusing on the target, but you can see that paint on the target. That in this case it is orange paint. So you think of it as like an analog red dot. Like, you just see where that paint is and you're looking at the target, and then it's good enough to break your shot. I really like using it for that. And another thing is that people say these sights are slower up close. I disagree with that. I think they're just trying to get that refined sight alignment that I was talking about, and I think that's where that comes from. They're not slower up close. But the paint is really nice for that, for just seeing that paint on the target. Now the cool thing about it with that luminescent paint is you can actually charge it and it will light up. It will, like, the paint will glow. It's not that dark in here, but we'll get as good as we can. Actually, I'm probably turn that light back on here in a second and then cut it off so you can see this glowing as it gets dark. But I'm just holding a flashlight up to the site right now, and you know, supposedly, you know, if you have your gun outside in the daylight for like, I think 30 minutes, and then you go into darkness, the paint will be glowing. But I don't really see people keeping their gun out for 30 minutes, like their pistol, and then going into a dark area. So doing it like this though, whoop, make it bright and dark. Yeah, I wasn't quick enough. But you can see that front sight, that paint is glowing. Now that's pretty cool. Now other sites have that too, so it's not like one unique special thing about these, but that is a cool thing with the sights. Now would I go with orange again if I were to get them? No, I think I would go with that like yellow greenish color. I've got that on my big dots. I really like that. But the orange does work fine. I wouldn't want the, like, I think they have a red one. I think that's too dark. I don't see a point in that. Now, another nice thing about these sights is the serrations, right? So that should make it so that the rear sight doesn't reflect light back as much and you don't focus on the rear sight. And you're better able to focus on the front sight. But then the biggest thing that these sights are awesome at is one-hand manipulations. Because see that ledge right there on the rear sight? Try to stop looking at my face, look at the damn sights. Oh my god, you piece of shit. Alright, there we go. Alright, so that big ledge on those sights is really nice for being able to hook that on your belt or on a wall and to manipulate the gun. So like hooking up on my belt right now, it's very easy. Can't really see it down here, but like I can hold it open. So you'll hear me open it, and I'm just holding that rear sight on my belt. I can do that any position of my belt, just fine. Hooking on a wall, on a ledge, just fine. Again, make sure they're Loctited. But they've held up well. You know, once I got them properly zeroed from another gun store, and I should just do this myself, but I have friends who own gun stores. I just have them do it for me now. But properly zeroed and Loctited down, like, they're great. They haven't lost zero or anything like that, which is disappointing when you miss. You're like, fuck, maybe my pistol's not zeroed, and then you're like, no, I'm just sucking today. But yeah, so anyways, the sights are fine. Like, they're still good. If you're like dead set on buying a set of the HD sights for the U-notch, I would just go with the bigger ones, go with the yellow ones. I wouldn't go for the XRs because, like I said, trying to see that front sight at night, not easy, and then trying to refine your alignment isn't that easy. And if you go with something else, I would say go with a notch and post set. Trijicon makes those also. Marigold makes those. There's lots of companies that make them. Big dots are good too. I know people say they're super inaccurate and whatever, but I promise you they're not. They take some getting used to. You'll probably be most accurate with notch and post if you're really trying to shoot tight groups. But anyways, we'll do more sight reviews in the future. And then the best is always going to be a red dot. I wouldn't carry a red dot right now, but if you have night vision, I would say you should get a red dot for your pistol. But anyways, that's it. Do you have any questions, guys? Please comment them below. If you don't have questions, then you need to comment your favorite set of sights. If you don't have a favorite set of sights, just say like, hey, I like this video or something like that. Or is there a set of sights that you want me to do a review of in the future? I'd like to know that too. Maybe there's a set I just haven't seen before. That's it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for subscribing, like you should have. All my students, you guys are the best. Keep fighting communism. And remember that training saves lives.